Hello there and welcome to Times Exclusive. My name is Elvis Howahowa. This is a program that takes a look at issues of national importance. And today in the program we're talking about the Protected Flag, Emblems and Names Act. And my guest is Mr. Authur Msowoya, a lawyer. Mr. Msowoya, hello and welcome to Times Exclusive.
Thank you.
Thank you. Remember that this program is brought to you under the auspices of Rainbow Paints.
Weather Shield, another brand from Rainbow Paints. This is ultimate. An extreme high-performance acrylic smooth textured finishing with ultraviolet absorption and maximum flexibility properties for wall finishes. A built-in fungicide to resist molds. Simple to use, quick drying, water-resistant binding power, low dirt retention, and hides hairline cracks. Suitable for use on all exterior walls, be it plaster, concrete, or brickwork. Available in a wide range of colors in 5 and 20-liter containers. Contact us today in Blantyre 01841-813, 01841-871, Lilongwe 01755-901. Email info@rainbowpaints.biz. Rainbow Paints. Peace of mind, part of the deal.
In the past few weeks or so, Malawi saw the arrest of the director of youth in the UTM party, that's Mr. Bon Galindo. Mr. Galindo was arrested in Balaka district following the launch of the Chiwanja Chayawo, after two aides of the vice president, Mr. Salos Chidima, were arrested by Balaka police and were charged on 2 counts. The first one was for causing breach of peace, and the second was on insulting the president. Now, to help us clarify the second matter, that's why today we're joined by Mr. Msowoya. Mr. Msowoya, what is the Protected Flag, Names and Emblems Act? Or in other words, what is this act all about?
The act is about 2 things mainly. The first purpose is to safeguard the dignity of the head of state, of the flag of Malawi, and of the, what would say, the public seal. As a country, we have a seal, which if we need to authenticate a document to prove to everyone that it's been issued by the highest authority, it is applied to the document. So it's a public seal. So that's the first purpose, to safeguard the dignity of the head of state, the public seal, and the flag, and the armorial ensigns. Those, when you have a government document or official document, there will be something on top there. On the one side, you have maybe like a lion holding a space on there.
A tiger, yeah.
Under you say Unity and Freedom or Republic of Malawi. Yeah, so all those are protected. So you safeguard the dignity of those items. But the second one is to prevent improper use of the protected names and emblems. So there is dignity, there is also improper use. So you prevent improper use.
Okay.
And you safeguard the dignity.
For the benefit of our viewers, where is this act found? Is it in the Constitution? Is it in the Penal Code? Where is it exactly?
It's an ordinary act of Parliament. It's Chapter 1803 of the laws of Malawi. Yeah, so it's not in the Constitution.
Okay, fine.
Yes.
Okay, fine. Now, there have been arguments, stories, heated debate about the importance of this act. To say currently Malawi is in a democratic dispensation where there are multi-parties and it's no longer a one-party state. Why do you still need that act?
The act speaks for itself. I mean, we sure the public seal, the head of state, our flag, national flag, and what I was talking about, the armorial ensign. Are we sure we want them to have no dignity at all? They should not confer a level of or command a level of respect when we see them apply to a document. I think it's something that we don't need to gainsay. These things deserve to be with the dignity that is proper for them. And also, you don't want people to abuse these things because they're so important. They could easily be abused. Other people could cash in for their own commercial purposes. We are saying these are for us as a whole nation. You shouldn't take undue advantage. Okay. But it's not that the prevention is absolute. So, for example, in terms of use, commercial use or in connection with business and other purposes, you can apply to government for permission to use. So, for example, the word Malawi is a protected name, but you have a number of companies that have the word Malawi as part of their name. There is a process that allows you to
use that name.
Yeah, so you apply. When they consider the reasons why you have applied, they give you the authority to use it.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Ideally, it's just to make sure that there is no abuse of those names. Okay.
Now, is it only the name of the president that needs to be respected? Because you're looking at a whole country, a nation, there are millions of people. I'll tell you the reason why I'm asking this question, but is it only the name of the president that needs to be respected? Because the law should apply generally, shouldn't it? It should apply to everyone, shouldn't it? Is it only the name of the president that needs to be accorded that respect? In your opinion?
I think that you've introduced the word respect.
Yeah.
So everyone needs to be respected.
Yeah.
So, actually, we are saying you have a right to your personal dignity. So every citizen has that right, including the head of state.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Also, culturally, we are saying you must respect each other. Every person needs to be respected. Yeah.
Okay.
Now, when you approach it from that angle, then you find that the act is not really asking you to do something that even if it was not there,
you wouldn't.
You see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So even if the act was not there, we still should be respecting each other. We still should be respecting the person who is the head of state, actually, the national leader, as it were. But in the act, you have gone a step higher to say if the words used is not respect, but it says if you insult the president, if you do anything or say anything that is calculated to insult, ridicule the president, or is liable to insult or ridicule the president, then it's a criminal offense. Yeah, you could go to jail for 2 years.
2 years, yeah.
There is a fine that is prescribed. But in short, it is simply saying maybe elsewhere you might cross your cultural boundaries and do that. It would not be criminal in the various cultures that we have.
Yeah.
You will be sanctioned in some way.
Right.
If you're a person who is fond of insulting other people, people may not want to associate with you. So there is that kind of sanction at that level. But if it is the president that you're insulting or ridiculing, the act says it will be a criminal offense.
What constitutes an insult? Because in a democracy, people say you can criticize. Is criticism an insult? What is an insult?
You know, an insult.
What does the act say? What is an insult?
There is no definition of insult. There is no definition of ridicule. And I think that that's the best way. Those who are drafting it, I think they did a good job by not trying to define insult, because it will at times depend in the context, as it were. Yeah. So, you know, an insult when one is made, and in the context, you can say this is an insult. If you try to define, I think it will be a definition that will have no end. Yeah. But to make sure that you cover as much as can fall in it, but at the same time, you do not cover things that should not be covered. The way the act is drafted, it leaves it to the law enforcers as well as the court, if you have to go to court, because if you have to be jailed, you have to go to court, to look at the facts and say, yes, here the head of state was insulted, and therefore an offense was committed. Or no, in this context, maybe it was not an insult at all.
Do you feel what's your position on the argument that has been made to say this act is in contradiction with the Constitution, because the Constitution guarantees freedom of expression, etc. Other legal minds have made that argument. What's your stand on that kind of argument?
Well, I don't know whether freedom of expression means you have the freedom to insult any person that you see without any consequences. So let us understand that we have the freedom to express ourselves. And I don't know what an insult expresses, apart from disrespect and probably annoyance. Other than that, if somebody calls me a name, I really don't get much from it. So that's the right way of exercising your freedom of expression. So it depends on your understanding of the extent of freedom of expression. Personally, I think that it does not mean that because you have that right, then you can go about insulting people and then they shouldn't take sanctions against you, whether at a cultural level or at a legal level, as it were. But your exercise of the freedom of expression should not impinge on the rights of others. So the others have the right to personal dignity. They have to be respected as human beings. I think going about, you see somebody, you say, "Oh, you are stupid." You are really impinging on their right to personal dignity. So while you're exercising your freedom, make sure you respect the rights of others. And also, the Constitution says that you can derogate from those freedoms that are provided for in the Constitution by written law, which is reasonable, fair, and not inconsistent with the what you say, a democratic dispensation. Yeah. So it's not wanton.
Okay.
If you are exercising your freedom of expression wantonly, you may be found that you are impinging on the rights of others. And when you cry to say, oh no, but it's limiting my rights, they will read you the law to say this law has actually limited that kind of freedom. So if we take it that this act is limiting the freedom of expression in as far as inserting the president's consent, we have this written law that has said you cannot insert him. Yeah, but it's not that it's my understanding that freedom of expression means you can insert anybody.
Okay. Rogue and vagabond. There was another debate a couple of years back. Rogue and vagabond. The police used that one a lot to arrest people, detain them, if they were moving particularly at particular hours in the night in town. So that one was also challenged because the argument was the same. Say it was also archaic. It was not in tandem with the democratic dispensation, the rights of people to associate, to trade, to move freely. Do you see any similarities between? Apart from that, this one is something different, but do you see similarities between the way these two are being debated?
Yeah, because in both cases, you are trying to cite a right that is provided for in the Constitution. So you're saying I was walking about because I've got the freedom to move. I can go anywhere I want, you see. So, and here someone is saying, but under the Constitution, I have the freedom of expression, so I can express myself. In that sense, you might say they are similar. But if you talk about rogue and vagabond, one of the problems that you have in case of these laws is the manner they are enforced. At times, a piece of legislation might be completely fair, but because they are enforced in a way that is excessive in the circumstances, people might begin thinking that the law itself is a problem, when in fact it's not the law, it's the way it's being enforced. I don't know whether you will be fine yourself if somebody you don't know, and clearly they are showing that they are up to no good, with a panga knife, with the hammers, with what, is standing at your gate at night. And you are saying, but what are you doing there? I say, hey, I'm a free person. I have the freedom of movement. So I'm just walking around here. All the while it's just securing your house. If you call the police to come and help you, what should that person say if they pick him up? If the only answer he has is, no, I'm a free person, so I can. So when you look at that, clearly, it's not that freedom of movement means you can just be moving about. It has to depend on what time it is. It has to depend on what you have when you are moving. Maybe if you have weapons that are considered offensive, even when you are moving about during the day, the law enforcers may find reason to stop and ask you. Yeah. If the explanation is not satisfactory, they might take you for further questioning. So they are similar, but not really similar, because in this particular case, we are talking about you being restricted to insert, or rather from inserting only one person, because we can only have one head of state at a time, one president. So you really find it so compelling out of the 18 million people in Malawi to say, but I want that one, I should be able to have the freedom to,
Okay. You are watching Times Exclusive, a program that is brought to you under the auspices of Rainbow Paints, and today we're discussing the Protected Flag Names and Emblems Act with Mr. Authur Msowoya, a lawyer. My name is Elvis Howahowa.
Weather Shield, another brand from Rainbow Paints. This is Ultimate. An extreme high-performance acrylic smooth textured finishing with ultraviolet absorption and maximum flexibility properties for wall finishes. A built-in fungicide to resist molds. Simple to use, quick drying, water-resistant binding power, low dirt retention, and hides hairline cracks. Suitable for use on all exterior walls, be it plaster, concrete, or brickwork. Available in a wide range of colors in 5 and 20-liter containers. Contact us today in Blantyre 01841-813, 01841-871, Lilongwe 01755-901. Email info@rainbowpaints.biz. Rainbow Paints. Peace of mind, part of the deal.
If you're just joining us, this is Times Exclusive on Times TV with me, Elvis Howahowa, and we're discussing the Protected Flag Names and Emblems Act with Mr. Authur Msowoya, a lawyer. Mr. Msowoya, people are calling for the removal of this act. The feeling is that it's being abused by politicians. The feeling is that people are being arrested subjectively. Those are the arguments, those are the debates, because they belong to the opposition, because they belong to that. And in particular, because it's not in tandem with the Constitution. That's the argument. Do you feel that way? What's your feeling about this?
I don't think that the act can be said to be not in tandem with the current dispensation. It's possible that there will be excesses when law enforcers are trying to enforce it, but that is true with many pieces of legislation which prescribe criminal offenses. We've gone to court with clients who feel that they should not be charged with a particular offense. And yes, the court has said, no, you are not guilty. That does not mean that the penal code is a piece of registration that is bad. It simply means that in that particular case, the law enforcers got it wrong. So in this particular situation, especially from what you're talking about, it would be Section 4, which is talking about not inserting the head of state. It's possible that the law enforcers might exceed in their judgment. Their judgment might be not as good. They might see an insert where there is no insert. So they will arrest somebody. And also this fact that probably you will find that it's mainly members of parties that are not in government that will be found foul of it. I think it's just the fact that those are the people who will most of the times be saying things that might not be palatable to the head of state. They will be commenting not in favorable terms on the head of state. Rarely will you find someone who is a member of a party which has a president in power commenting unfavorably on what they. So by the coincidence of the way our setup in politics is, you find that when it comes to inserting the head of state, the people that are likely to be charged will be those who are commenting unfavorable on the head of state. At times, what they have done might amount to inserting the state of president, the head of state or president. You might find that perhaps what they are doing can easily be understood as calculated to ridicule the president. It might not be so, because they might go to court and get acquitted. But that does not mean that the law is just for victimizing those who are in the opposition. It's just that because of the person or the office that is being protected, the people who will be making statements, will be doing things that can be considered an insult or a ridicule, will most likely be those who are in the opposition. Yeah. And you asked me to say, should this act be removed? I don't think that it's an act that needs to be removed. Actually, after we entered into the multi-party dispensation, they have looked at it. There was a provision which was protecting the flag of MCP, Malawi Congress Party. Right, yeah. That was removed. You see, so we were in the democratic dispensation. We looked at this act again, and we decided that the rest were still okay. The provisions that were protecting a flag for MCP were considered not to be okay, so it was removed. So it's not that it's been there and just ignored. Yeah. So even today, if someone was suggesting that we should have no law safeguarding the dignity of the head of state, the dignity of our flag, of our public seal, or to prevent abuse of these protected names and emblems, I would be saying, no, I think these things deserve to be protected. They deserve to be items of utmost dignity nationally. But it's possible to look at it to say either something in the drafting of some of the provisions that make our law enforcers miss the point, that you can look at and see. So if maybe something is not clear, you can clarify. But it will be a mistake to say you just take the whole or throw it away.
Let's still talk about in the event that there is another review. Do you think there is need to specifically define an insult? Because ignorance is not an excuse under law, is it? Ignorance, is it an excuse under law?
No, it's not.
It's not. So if in the event that there's another review, do you think there is still need to define an insult to say this is an insult? If you say these, or if you make this kind of comments, this is an insult. You're insulting the president.
I don't think you should do that. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because you leave out a lot that, with hindsight, you say, this is an insult as well. Or you might run the risk of including things you shouldn't include. So insult, ridicule, let them be used as normal English words, and leave it to the wisdom of the court in any particular point or case that has been brought to the court to decide whether there was indeed an insult or a calculation to ridicule the president in that particular context, because that court will have the benefit of all the facts, the surrounding facts, which you do not have when you are drafting. When you are drafting, you try to provide a formula that should work in all circumstances which will be considered offensive. So my recommendation would be, do not define ridicule, do not define insult. Let those be used as normal English words. And it also gives you the advantage of making sure that you are not outdated. Yeah. Because in the end, something which in Malawi might be an insult, you go to Zambia, may not be an insult. Even in Malawi, in one area, it might be an insult. In another area, it might not be an insult. Now, those are important factors to make sure at each moment you are faced with a question whether an offense was committed or not. You have the benefit of the facts, you have the benefit of the current culture, and you are able to say, no, there is no offense, or yes, an offense was committed.
How do you begin to remove a law in a legal setup, in a legal system? How do you begin to take it away in the event that it's not in good taste, or it's in a bad taste with the people?
There are many opportunities, but I would just say mainly 2 ways. Yeah, you can initiate a motion to amend the law or to repeal the law altogether in Parliament. Yeah, so you can go to the government, you lobby to say we need to have this law removed or changed. If your case is good and made out, they will initiate the process from there. Or you can lobby a particular member of Parliament to start the process, and they could table a private member's bill. Yeah. So you can do it through the National Assembly. That is available. The other way is to challenge it in court. As part of your defense, you could ask a certain part of the law, or maybe the whole law, to be struck out for being null and void, for offending the Constitution. Yes.
And do you necessarily have to have been a victim, if I may put it that way, of that particular law to move the court, so anybody can?
Anyone with sufficient interest can.
Let's talk about as well the fact that what are the other determining factors? If people talk a lot about it, if people talk a lot against the law, in the public domain. Do lawyers or members of parliament, do they need to start paying attention to it, or that's another court, that's another public court in general that doesn't need to be listened to or considered?
Yeah, I think that public policy leaders will always pay attention. So if people are complaining about a certain piece of legislation, I don't think that the complaints will fall on deaf ears. Yeah, so I would generally just say public policy leaders. So you have the both sides in parliament, the government side, the opposition. They are all together need to pay attention, and the executive government itself, especially, they will pay attention. Yeah. Even the courts do pay attention, but someone has to move them for them to do something. Yeah, but I think that when people voice out complaints about a particular piece of law, the responsible sectors do listen, and they do take into account. And in fact, issues like this, for example, like the one we're talking about, you might have the civil society trying to champion changes. So maybe all you have to do is complain in a manner where you can be heard. And then if it's really something that needs to change, you should be able to find support.
There's also been another complaint generally about some of the laws in the Republican Constitution, to say they're old in the cake and they need to be reviewed. Do you share those sentiments, to say some of the laws in the Constitution are a bit old?
Not the Constitution. The Constitution is quite
new.
We've had it since 1994.
94,
yeah. We might perhaps say that it's not covering some area that it should be covering. Probably we can point it out to say it has not gone far enough. Personally, I think that it's really covering as much as it should, because at the level of the Constitution, you do not want to put too much, because then it stifles development of the law, as it were. Yeah. However, it's also true that law is old. Law in itself is old, and that's not a bad thing. Yeah. So the law against killing people is as old perhaps as the world itself. It's been wrong, has been against the law since time immemorial to kill a person. So is that bad law simply because it has been with us for too long? I don't think so. I think that we have a duty to continually look at our laws to make sure that they do not become outdated. Yeah. So if there are pieces of legislation that are getting outdated, maybe some laws were passed with a certain system in mind. We have changed our system of governance. Yes, we should look at those and make sure that those that do not serve a purpose are gotten rid of. Those that just need improving, we improve. And we have the Attorney General, we have the law revision officers, we have the Law Commission. It is their job to continually look at these laws to make sure that they make sense in our contemporary situation. Yeah, but we should not fall into the trap of thinking that just because a law is odd, then it means it's bad. No.
Okay.
A law is bad if it's not serving the purpose. A law is bad if it's against the Constitution and the principles enunciated in our Constitution. Yep. A law is bad if it's really, maybe one would say, an immoral law.
Is the protected name is the protected flag names and emblems act a bad law? Mr. Msowoya?
It's not bad law.
It's a good law.
It's good law. By and large, it's good law. But that does not mean that you will not have excesses when they are trying to enforce it. You see? That does not mean that anyone who is suspected, anyone and everyone who is suspected of having violated this law has in fact violated this law. Yeah. Are we really going to say, no, today we have removed the law which says you should not insult the president? Can we really say that?
If the president insults me and I insult him back, have I broken the law?
If you've insulted the president, you have broken the law. But maybe if it's a response to what he started, the courts are wise. So you may not get fined, you may simply be given what we call a watch out. So our system is well equipped to deal with issues like those. Yeah. So to say that I insulted the president just because he insulted, yeah, but it can happen. It can happen that perhaps someone is just responding there and then in the heat of passion. It doesn't mean that you've not insulted the president. It doesn't mean that you've not committed a criminal offense. If by your own admission you are saying I insulted him. But enforcing the law in that particular case, the court will look at the circumstances and you might not be punished. Or you might get away lightly. So it's not that the system is not equipped to deal with instances like those. It is well equipped. However, people are free. They can look at the protected flag names and emblems act to try and improve it if there is need to improve. You can always improve the law. But when you read it, and in fact it should not be understood that it's simply about preventing insults and ridiculing the president. No. It's covering a lot of ground. So for example, for you as people in the media, you are allowed to use the protected name, the word, the whatever. You have more latitude by the act. If you are publishing bona fide news items and things like those in your job. So you can see that they have gone to all lengths to make sure that it is balanced. It's not just about preventing people.
This law, you touched on that earlier, but this law, is there a relationship between this law and our culture and our beliefs and our religions? Because other people have also argued to say most of these laws are British laws. Okay, that doesn't sound nice, but these laws were most of them were drafted by the British. You just changed them here and there when you were probably doing the review, but most of them are from there.
Well, fine. Let's look at it. Our business culture. Our business language is English. Can we run away?
Yeah.
Yeah. However, culture is dynamic. So when you are looking at this act, you are looking at the contemporary Malawi culture, which is elusive in the sense that you might not really be able to point it out to say this is. But where you have exceeded the things which culturally are saying the limits are here, it's easy for members of the public to see. Yeah. So let us not overemphasize just the issue of inserting. Inserting the head of state or the president, ridiculing the head of state or the president, you have to understand it in the context in which it is happening. So it is happening in a Malawi culture. If you say this in Malawi, is it an insult? If you say that, is it something that ridicules someone? That's how you look at it. And you are not looking at the culture of 1961. You are looking at the culture of today. So it's no more English language, but that English language, you are not removing it from our cultural realities in Malawi. So it's insult in Malawi, ridicule in Malawi, even if you are using the English language, but you understand it in our cultural context. And I think that that's the best way. From a religion point of view, most religions that I know about will also say, don't insult. Actually, not just leaders, but don't insult anyone. Don't ridicule anyone. You are supposed to respect each and every person. Even whether they are members of that religion or not, you're supposed to respect them. So it's not really an act that you could say maybe it is offensive to the religion or to morals as such. That said, yes, let's look at it whether it is not good in terms of our democratic dispensation. My personal view is that the way it is drafted, you may not fault it. Yeah, but the way it is enforced, you might have excesses. But those are dealt with through the court system. Because if the law enforcers have exceeded, it's not that you don't have a remedy. You go to court and the court looks at it and the court will decide that you did not commit the offense.
Are there nations in this world that don't have that particular law or something similar?
I'm sure they should. There should be countries that do not have this the way it is written here. Maybe what is contained in our protected flag, emblems and names act, maybe in those countries would be contained in various legislation. But I don't think that there is a country which says here you can insult the president. I don't think there is a country which says here you are free, you can insult or you can abuse our flag or what. People may do it, and law enforcers may not take action, but it might not mean that in those countries the law is that you should not respect these things.
Okay. Mr. Msowoya, thank you very much for coming to the Times Exclusive.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's Mr. Authur Msowoya, a lawyer, talking to us on the issue of the Protected Flag, Names and Emblems Act on Times Exclusive. You've been with me, Elvis Howahowa. Remember, this program was brought to you under the auspices of Rainbow Paints.